welcome to Dreamy Sleep Tales, a world where the stars whisper secrets, trains fly through the sky, and wishes turn into glowing lanterns. In tonight's bedtime story, you'll meet Mira, a girl whose dreams had grown quiet until one magical night, a mysterious train arrived to take her on a journey beyond the clouds. So lie back, close your eyes, and let the soft hum of the Dreamliner carry you to a place where imagination heals, and every stop on the journey brings you closer to the light within. Let's begin. Mira lay awake in the stillness of her small apartment, her ceiling fan whispering overhead as if in sympathy with her restless heart. Outside, the city's night pulse hummed with distant sirens, drifting traffic, and the occasional bark of a late patrolling dog. Yet inside, silence pressed in on her. Thick, suffocating, and laden with every unspoken word she'd ever held on to. She swung her legs over the side of the bed and padded across the room to the window. The street lights below cast pools of yellow light onto damp asphalt. Sidewalks glistened from an evening rain that had washed away summer's heat, but not her unease. She pressed her palm to the cool glass, tracing the faint outline of a crack she'd never bothered to repair. Her eyes drifted to the stack of unopened letters on the desk. One from her editor, 3 from old friends, and a half-written postcard addressed to her younger self. Each carried a sting of guilt. Pages she'd meant to fill with laughter and hope, now frozen in half-inked regrets. Mira sighed, the breath catching in her throat. Tomorrow, she thought, I'll face it all. But tomorrow felt as distant as another lifetime. Her phone lay silent beside her, its notifications a silent indictment of her choice to pull away. She had drifted into routines. Coffee at the same cafe, the same subway car, the same half-dreams scribbled in a leather notebook gathering dust. What she needed was escape. Not the fleeting variety of a weekend trip, but something more profound. Something that could shake her free from the weight of unspoken dreams. On a whim, fueled by exhaustion and longing, Mira dressed in layers. A wool sweater, jeans, and her grandmother's old scarf that smelled faintly of lavender. She grabbed her bag, stuffed it with the essentials, her notebook, a pen, a flask of tea, and slipped out the door. The elevator ride down felt interminable. Floor by floor, the city's nocturnal rhythm crescendoed until she stepped onto the deserted street. She hailed a cab without thought, gave the driver the name of a station she barely remembered from childhood, Eastwood Hollow. The route wound along forgotten industrial blocks and shuttered shops. When the taxi came to a stop beneath a single flickering lamp, she paid her fare, thanked the driver with a forced smile, and watched the car vanish into the night. Eastwood Hollow Station was an echo of a bygone era, peeling paint on the platform walls, a rusted timetable board that listed trains long since retired, and empty benches where pigeons clustered in mournful silence. But there was beauty in its neglect. The platform lamps cast pools of golden light, and in the gaps between them, darkness felt like velvet. Mira stepped onto the platform, her breath forming silver clouds. She slid her ticket from her bag. Cream-colored stock, smooth, with words stamped in black ink. Dreamliner Express. Midnight. It read. She glanced at her watch. 20 minutes until the hour. 20 minutes for a heartbeat of possibility. She sat on a wooden bench, smoothing the ticket between her fingers. The world felt suspended, as if waiting for her to choose a different path than the one she'd trudged so long. From the corner of her eye, she noticed an ancient analog clock mounted on the wall. Its hands trembled near 12, and when they met, the platform lights brightened, bathing the station in a warm glow. A deep rumble rolled down the tracks. Mira's heart thumped in time with it. As the Dreamliner Express rounded the bend, she caught her first glimpse. Cars gleaming with soft amber light. Windows reflecting not the platform behind her, but a sky full of stars she couldn't see from the city. The train slowed to a silent glide. Its doors parted like welcoming arms. Mira rose, her mind buzzing with questions that words couldn't capture, and stepped inside. The moment Mira crossed the threshold, the hush enveloped her. The carriage was lit by lanterns concealed behind frosted glass, and though the light was warm, it never felt harsh or bright. Plush burgundy seats lined the aisle in pairs. their velvet upholstery whispering of comfort and quiet confidences. She took a deep breath, inhaling a scent she knew from childhood summers at her grandmother's attic. A mingling of old books, dried lavender, and something indefinably ancient, as though the air itself held memories. The conductor stood a few seats ahead, an elderly woman in a charcoal grey uniform, brass buttons gleaming like distant stars. She offered Mira a gentle nod. "Welcome aboard the Dreamliner Express," she said, voice soft as spun silk. "We travel tonight to places waiting to be remembered." Mira braced herself. "Where do we go?" she asked, though part of her feared the answer. "Only where the heart still whispers," the conductor replied. She turned and glided down the aisle, her footsteps muffled by a carpet that seemed to absorb sound itself. Mira settled into a window seat and pressed her notebook to her chest. Across the aisle, a man in his 40s sat with his eyes closed, leaning against the window as if listening for a forgotten lullaby. A few seats down, a young woman traced the stitching on her satchel, lips moving in silent remembrance. In the corner, a child, no older than 10, clutched a battered, stuffed fox, its glass eyes reflecting the carriage's soft light. The train lurched forward. Outside, the city lights wavered and then vanished, replaced by the hush of rolling countryside. A soft chime echoed through the car, and the conductor's voice drifted from the next carriage. "Stop 1. The Forest of Forgotten Things." Mira stepped onto the platform that glowed with dozens of lanterns suspended in the cool night air. Each lantern pulsed gently, revealing a collection of mementos strewn across the wooden boards. A chipped porcelain teacup, a tarnished pocket watch, a single worn ballet slipper, and a torn photograph of 2 girls laughing beneath autumn leaves. A hush fell as the passengers gathered, each drawn to a different item. Mira approached a stack of half-written letters, their ribbons loose. She recognized the handwriting, her own, dated years ago. The edges were yellowed, and the ink had faded. But the hope in those lines was palpable. A small voice said, "These things were lost when we stopped believing." Mira turned to see the child with the fox. His eyes shone with a clarity that surprised her. "What happens here?" she asked. "They remind you of what you forgot," he said, "and why it still matters." Mira picked up one letter. Its opening line read, "Dear future me, I hope you're still dreaming." Her fingers tightened around the paper, and a single tear slipped free. A soft melody floated on the breeze, a lullaby she hadn't heard since childhood, humming of rain-drenched afternoons and her grandmother's voice guiding her to sleep. The trees around the platform rustled with unseen wings, as if the forest itself was awakening to greet her. She turned to the boy. I forgot," she whispered. "I forgot how much I loved to write." He smiled, slipping the battered fox under his arm. "Write it again," he encouraged, pointing to her leather-bound notebook. "Here, you remember." Mira seated herself on a low ledge, pages trembling, and read the first blank line. "Stories yet told." She opened the cover, pressed the tip of her pen to paper, and let her heart spill its first words in years. Mira felt the notebook's leather cover warm beneath her hand as the soft melody of the forest of forgotten things faded behind her. She followed the child and the other passengers onto the train once more, her heart fluttering with possibility. The carriage lights dimmed in a slow cinematic sweep, and when they brightened again, the walls had transformed. Every inch of the corridor was now a polished mirror, each pane reflecting a different life Mira might have lived. Her breath caught as she stepped forward, flanked by infinite versions of herself. In the first mirror stood Mira, the poet, ink smudged across her fingers, silver-streaked hair piled atop her head, a quill poised over a parchment brimming with verses. In that reflection, her eyes glowed with creative fire. "You never let your words fly," the reflection whispered, tone tinged with gentle reproach. "You tuck them away in drawers, afraid they'd never be heard." Mira's throat tightened. The truth stung. Late nights when she'd closed her journal in frustration, convinced she lacked the talent to finish a single poem. She pressed her palm to the glass, the smooth surface cold under her skin. She moved on, each step stirring a swirl of regret and longing. The next pane revealed Mira, the adventurer, clad in rugged leather boots and a weathered cloak, map unfurled at her feet. Behind her, cliffs plunged into turquoise seas and distant peaks pierced pink dawn skies. You could have wandered the world, that Mira said, voice echoing softly. Chased horizons instead of checking rent prices and bus schedules. Mira's chest ached. She dreamed of train tickets and hostels, but traded them for overtime hours and an apartment she could afford. A breeze, felt though there were no windows, rippled across her hair. She pressed onward. In the third mirror, Mira the beloved laughed beside a partner beneath cafe string lights. Their hands were entwined, their expressions radiant. You closed your heart, the reflection murmured. Fear of heartbreak kept you safe, but also alone. A sting of regret swelled in Mira's chest. She recalled the warmth of a summer romance, the unopened letters in her desk drawer, the unsent text messages she'd imagined deleting. The final pain showed Mira the teacher, chalk in hand, a classroom of bright-eyed children hanging on her every word. You had stories to share, the reflection breathed. Knowledge to shape young minds. Beside her, real seats remained empty. A symbol of every lecture she'd declined, every workshop she'd skipped for solitude or fear of speaking up. Mira's breath came fast. Each version of herself stood as both promise and reproach. She felt tears threaten, but before they could fall, soft footsteps approached from the rear. The conductor appeared in the doorway, lantern in hand. Her eyes were kind but serious. Are you ready to forgive what might have been and embrace what still can be? Mira swallowed hard, tracing a finger over the edge of the adventurer's map. I think so, she whispered. At her words, the mirrored walls shimmered and dissolved into a gentle golden light. The carriage returned to its original warmth, and Mira found herself back in her window seat, the city's silhouette passing by in the dusk. Her heart pounded, but in its rhythm, she sensed a newfound determination. The train carried her onward, and beyond the glass, the sky deepened into twilight. A soft chime sounded through the car, drawing her attention. The conductor's voice floated in from the corridor. Stop. 3. The platform of goodbyes. Mira gathered her things, her notebook now brimming with half-finished lines, and readied herself. The Mirror of What-Ifs had shown her the weight of roads not taken. Now it was time to release the sorrows that still clung to her heart. The Dreamliner Express slowed to a gentle halt, its soft whistle echoing like a sigh through the car. Mira stepped off onto a platform bathed in the muted glow of twilight, where lanterns hung overhead on slender wires, each bearing a single word: memory, regret, forgiveness, farewell. Across the platform stood Lena, Mira's childhood friend, the one whose laughter had once filled summer afternoons and whose absence left an unspoken ache in Mira's heart. Lena wore a simple dress the color of dusk and held a single white butterfly in her palm, its wings trembling with anticipation. "Mira," Lena said, voice soft yet clear, "I've been waiting." Mira's throat tightened. She reached out but paused an arm's length away. Memories flooded back. The secret hideout they'd built between two oaks in the town park. The whispered hopes they'd carved into tree bark. And the silent argument beneath a harvest moon that drove them apart. "I'm sorry," Mira whispered, "for walking away, for every moment I didn't reach out." Lena's eyes glistened. She opened her hand. The butterfly took flight, its wings catching the lantern light. "And I'm sorry," she replied, "for letting pride build walls where bridges should have stood." They walked together along the platform's edge, each step lifting the weight of years. As Mira spoke the words she'd held inside, apologies for missed birthdays, unsent letters, and half-heard goodbyes, Lena listened, nodding, her expression softening with each confession. At the platform's end stood a low wooden table covered in pale rose petals. On it lay 2 quills and a single slip of paper labeled "Final Farewells." Mira took a quill, dipped it into an inkwell of glowing silver, and wrote, "To the pieces of us lost in silence, I release you now with love and gratitude." She folded the paper and laid it beside Lena's own folded note. At a nod from Lena, they both released their slips into the air. A mild breeze carried the paper aloft until it drifted through the lantern wires, trailing petals that sparkled like stardust. As the final petal fell, Lena's form shimmered. She embraced Mira gently. "Thank you," she murmured, "for bringing me home." Mira felt Lena's warmth linger even as her friend's image dissolved into the lantern-lit night. Alone now, Mira placed a hand over her heart, feeling lighter than she had in years. A distant chime signaled the train's next departure. Mira turned and climbed aboard, pausing to look back once at the lanterns dancing overhead, a testament to forgiven sorrows and freed hearts. The train's soft whistle called Mira forward once more. She rose from her seat, her footsteps light on the carpeted floor, and followed the conductor through a corridor aglow with lantern-lit motifs of stars and moons. When the door slid open, Mira gasped. Before her lay a vast expanse suspended in darkness, a platform floating among swirling nebulae of indigo, violet, and pearl. No walls confined the space. Only an endless sky glittered with constellations unlike any she had seen. Beneath her feet, the floor pulsed with a gentle luminescence, as though crafted from moonlight itself. Hundreds of lanterns drifted overhead, each a prism of soft color. They hovered in quiet procession, carrying whispered hopes and unspoken dreams across the void. In the hush, Mira felt a chorus of silent wishes brushing her mind, echoes of longing and hope that swelled her heart. At the center of the platform stood a long table carved from luminous moonstone. Its smooth surface invited touch. On it lay quills fashioned from silver plumage and iridescent strips of paper that shimmered with every color of the cosmos. A simple inscription was etched along the edge. Write your wish, then let it fly. The conductor appeared beside Mira, leaning on her lantern-shaped staff. Her eyes held starlight. "This is where you speak your deepest hope," she said. "Write it down, release it, and trust that the universe has heard you." Mira's breath caught. She reached into her coat and retrieved her leather-bound notebook, a companion since the first flicker of her creativity. But something told her this moment called for the moonstone paper. She selected a strip, feeling its cool silkiness, and uncapped the silver quill. As she poised the feather, her mind quieted, and memories of every step of her journey whispered through her. The forest's gentle lullaby, the mirror's honest reflections, the soft goodbyes beneath lantern light. Her heart swelled with gratitude for the courage she'd found along the way. Fingertips trembling, she wrote, "I wish to trust in my own voice, to share my stories with courage, to embrace each new dawn with hope, and to remember always that dreams are the compass of the soul." As the final word flowed into the paper's fibers, the lantern beneath her feet pulsed. Mira folded the strip into a tiny lantern. It illuminated from within before lifting on an unseen breeze. She released it, watching as it joined the others, weaving through the sky until it became one with the tapestry of stars. A warmth blossomed in her chest, gentle, steadfast, as if her wish had become a living heartbeat. Around her, the lanterns drifted in harmonious arcs, their lights dancing like fireflies at the edge of dreams. Beside her, the child with the fox released his own lantern, his whisper lost in the cosmos. He met Mira's gaze and smiled, a silent acknowledgement of shared transformation. As the lanterns settled into stillness, the conductor reappeared. She offered Mira a rare, full smile. "You have done well, dear traveler. Keep this feeling close, for the journey does not end here." Mira nodded, tears glistening at the corners of her eyes. "Thank you for showing me the way back to myself." The conductor placed a gentle hand on Mira's shoulder. "Whenever your heart grows heavy, the Dreamliner will return. Until then, carry your newfound courage into the light of day." With a lingering look, the conductor stepped back. The moonlit corridor beckoned, and Mira followed, each step echoing softly as the platform faded behind her. The train glided forward, and through the window, Mira watched the first blush of dawn paint the horizon in delicate pinks and golds. City rooftops glimmered as morning dew caught the light. Streets began to bustle as the world awoke, an orchestra of possibility awaiting her participation. Mira returned to her seat, her leather notebook warm in her lap. She opened to the final page, where a soft beam of sunlight illuminated a blank canvas of potential. With steady breath, she uncapped her pen and began to write. "Today, I rise with my heart alight. The stories within me will no longer wait. I step into the morning knowing that hope, like the Dreamliner, carries me toward a world where dreams are always within reach. Words flowed freely, each sentence a testament to the journey she had completed, not just through the Dreamliner's realms, but within herself. When the train pulled gently into Eastwood Hollow Station, Mira slipped off, carrying her notebook and her quiet resolve. The lamp-lit platform, once forgotten, now welcomed her as an old friend. She stepped into the early morning air, inhaled deeply, and walked forward, one foot in front of the other, toward the bright promise of day. And though her journey aboard the Dreamliner Express had ended, it lived on in the echo of her heartbeat, in the wings of her words, and in the infinite lanterns of silent wishes that danced forever among the stars. So, dear listeners, thank you for joining us on this journey aboard the Dreamliner Express. We hope Mira's adventure has filled your heart with warmth, wonder, and the courage to chase your own dreams. If you enjoyed this story, please give us a like, share it with someone who could use a little magic tonight, and subscribe to Dreamy Sleep Tales for more bedtime tales that soothe the soul and spark the imagination. Sleep well, dreamers, and remember, the next great adventure is just a whisper away. Good night.